Hello everyone, welcome to Wicked West Books. My name is Meg West, and today was meant to be my bookshelf rearrangement video, but I had some technical difficulties with that one. It's still coming, it's just probably going to be next week. So instead, let's talk about some of the books that I'm getting rid of. I have pretty well picked clean the books that I don't want to keep out of the ones that I have already read. There's probably going to be more when I get to that unread bookshelf later in the year of books that I decide that I don't want to keep. But let's talk about the ones that I'm going to get rid of very, very soon. And I'll probably take them somewhere like a used bookstore or something like that. But let's talk about those. So the first one is Rhapsody by Elizabeth Hayden. This is the first book in a series. It's got a blurb on the front by Anne McCaffrey, one of my favorite authors. I did actually like this book, and I read the two books that came after, but they're not something I'm going to reread again because it was very confusing. It's one of those really epic fantasies that's just kind of all over the place, which is not really my thing. I did enjoy it, but I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this copy because I really will not read this one again. So the next one is Tantalize by Cynthia Leitich Smith. I got this book, I want to say either early high school or late middle school, when probably actually closer to middle high school, probably around that time when I had my big vampire phase. And I read it once. I think it did get a second book that I never read or bought, and I held on to it because I wanted to hold on to that kind of vampire phase when Twilight came out. But I'm never going to read it again. I don't even remember exactly what happens. Her hybrid werewolf's first love is threatening to leave her forever. And just as she and her uncle are about to unveil Austin's first vampire-themed restaurant, their chef's brutal murder leaves Quincy scrambling to transform fresh-faced Henry Johnson into a culinary Dark Lord in time for the opening night. I vaguely remember that it had something to do with restaurants, but nothing else. Although now that I've read the back, I think I'm going to change my mind on this one. I might keep this one to read it one more time, and then we'll see what I want to do with it. Because I don't remember werewolves in here at all, much less a hybrid werewolf. How does that even work? I'm going to keep this book. So the next book is Three Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. I wanted to like this book so much because the cover is that really like soft, and I love it. It's got the deckled edges, and I just didn't like it. I couldn't connect to any of the characters. Like, I didn't feel anything for them. And I read further into the series than just this first book. I think I read the second book, but not the third one. And I couldn't connect. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. I mean, storytelling was fine. Plot was okay. I felt no connection. Next book in the stack is A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I liked this book somewhat, and I didn't want to get rid of it when the drama came out about her a while ago, but I've thought about it, and I don't really want to read this one again. I don't want to buy or read this second book, and there was the drama. So I am going to unhaul this book. You know, it was okay. The audiobook has a very pretty voiced narrator, but underwhelming. The next one is The Gossamer Plain by Thomas M. Reed. This is something I bought when I was very, very much into the Forgotten Realms and the Dragonlance. And this one's Forgotten Realms, but I was wanting something else in the world that wasn't R.A. Salvatore, of which I've got like 30 books by him. I vaguely remember when I finished reading this that I wanted more of the plot from it. Like, I enjoyed the plot, but I didn't enjoy the writing style. I remember absolutely nothing about the characters. Like, you've got this like angel type thing on the cover that's flying around. I couldn't tell you a single thing about that character. But I do remember that it was not high-key entertainment for me, and it's the only book in the series I have. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the used bookstore. The next three are somewhat more well-known books, and the first one is The Glittering Court by Rochelle Mead. This is the first book in a trilogy that Rochelle Mead wrote, in which there are 3 main characters, and each book is the perspective of one of those main female characters. Main character in this one is called Adelaide, and I was fairly underwhelmed by the plot of this book. World building, I remember being pretty good, but like the plot, I was fairly underwhelmed, and the fact that the other 2 girls' stories are taking place at about the same time as this, or at least there's a fair amount of overlap between their stories and the main character in this book's story, but you don't get any of the other girls' perspectives in this one. Each book is the story from their own perspective, which kind of, I think, would make sense as a whole, but it comes out very kind of thin when it's the only book out, and you can't immediately then jump into the next girl's head and then into the next girl's head, and I just don't really feel the motivation to buy the next books and jump into their heads anymore. Next book is The 100 by Cass Morgan. This is, of course, the first book in the 100 series that the TV show is based off of. I had watched like the first season or 2 of The 100 back when there was only a season or 2, and I liked it quite a bit, so I wanted to read the book, and the show gave you more characters' perspective, so you got more of the whole story as it was going along, and the book kind of fell short of that. That's right. But it's not something that I stayed interested in. It's not something I'm really interested in now. I might consider going back and rewatching the show and watching apparently up to the last season, and at the last season I should stop watching, but that knowledge makes it very hard for me to want to go back into it at all. And the last book in this stack at the moment is Other Worlds by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. First book in a series that is a VR basically is taking over the world kind of story, which is not my favorite thing, and I think I reread Ready Player One and then read this one, and then I think there was at the same time-ish, around the same time, Warcrossed came out, which I have not read. It was just an awful lot of young adult VR sci-fi kind of stuff, which isn't really my genre. And this was a Booksplosion Book of the Month, which is why I got it. And I was entertained. It had some interesting twists, that's the word I'm looking for, on that whole VR genre kind of thing, but it wasn't really for me. So yeah, that is my stack of books that I am going to be unhauling for now. I will probably, definitely, have a couple more unhaul videos later in the year when I can decide to buy a few more books off of my shelves. But for now, this is a decent start. It's a few books, not quite 10 books, but you know, it'll start off the new year with a few fewer books, right? So yeah, for now, those are the books I am getting rid of. I will reread Tantalize for the first time in like 12 years. I graduated 10 years ago, so about 12 years. And I'll let you guys know what I think about it in my rereading, because it's not like a more better well-known book as far as I know. Like I said, the Twilight thing was very long ago. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Back to posting videos every Wednesday. Next week is a bookshelf rearrangement / tour, I promise. Have a wicked day.